Men used to really yearn for women. You used to get in a fight with a man and he would be outside your house with a boombox in the rain, singing his motherfucking heart out, begging for you back, as he should, right? As a real man would. Now you get in a fight with a man, he's texting you, I bet. Now he's matching your energy like he's a motherfucking girl. And you know why? It's because you guys let these men dog walk you in relationships, and they know they can spin the block whenever because they know your program is far from strict. They could fuck up and then text you, what are you doing? And you're going to fold. You're going to text them back and you think you're doing something by waiting a few hours or a day to respond to their message, but you're still responding. You're still taking them back after they treat you like shit. And that's why men don't yearn for women no more, because it's just too fucking easy out here. It's too much access. It's too much accessibility. And it stresses me the fuck out. Y'all need to get way more strict with these men. Like, the first fucking time they move funny, move out the motherfucking way, right? Make them big. Oh my God, please, I'll never do it again. Y'all don't even scare these men anymore, because within 48 hours, they're back in your bed. Back in your motherfucking bed after they just exchanged bodily fluids with somebody else. Yeah. That's why men aren't yearning for women no more. So please do your part. Put down the dumb bitch juice. And let's bring back making these men work to be with us. Because loose boundaries won't get you anything but a loser man. Okay? Okay,
I'm going to respond to her, but today's subject is about, where does this all end? And that was a question posed to me this morning when I was explaining this whole thing about why the relationship market is so hard. I want to conduct a new segment here in Dubai. I just came up with this idea, I want to start this new segment here in Dubai where I'll get 3 or 4 single women to sit down from different nationalities in my living room, and we'll just have a candid discussion on what do they want? What do women want in Dubai? Then I'm going to host a separate event for the men, and then hopefully I can get these 2 groups or 2 different groups together to just have a open discussion. Then I'll have to rent a big studio for that. But the point is, the question came up when I was trying to recruit some of these people to come on the show. I had a long discussion with a lady, and she asked me, and she said, yeah, it's really bad. Men don't approach me anymore, and I don't get any attention at all here in Dubai. And I do want to get married. I do want to find a man, but I work really hard. And I said, there's the problem. Which you got to prioritize something. I said, you can't sit in your house and expect these men to come into your house to find you, right? And she says, yeah, I know, Paul, I know, but I don't know. I don't want to give up my job and focus on. I said, you don't have to give up your job. I said, you just got to put some effort. It's like going to the gym. You don't give up your job to go to the gym, do you? You just make time. You find the time to go to the gym. Same thing applies. You find time to date. You find time to spend time with a man so that you can build a relationship, because you're not getting any younger. And you get that. Yeah, I know you're right. I really do know you're right. I should look at it like that. But the deeper discussion is, where does this all end when males and females no longer get together? And I said to her, have you looked at South Korea? Have you looked at Japan? Have you looked at Italy? And she said, what about them? I said, they are declining populations. I said, people are not dating, they're not fucking, they're not having babies. Nothing is happening. The society is dying. And, she just said, oh, I should look into that. And I'm just like, how can people not even know this? Wow. Guys, subscribe. Hit that like button on this video, please. Book a session if you need any help with the older man, of course. Because, hey, I'm here for you. I'm here to mentor you. I'm here to give you advice. And if you want personal information, if you need any help with your life, I'm here to give it to you as an older man. That's why this channel was created, okay? But you know what? Let me comment quickly on the young lady that we had at the start of this video. She is blaming the men for not putting in any effort. Not out there with the boombox crying, Emily, come down, I'm sorry, baby. The music playing, Men don't do that shit anymore because, hey, you know what? He's going to get called for stalking. He's going to get freaking laughed at on the internet. Men don't do that shit anymore because women decided that any man who puts in any extra effort gets shamed online. So men have just said, hey, you know what? I don't want to be some freaking internet meme. Because the second that she sees him downstairs with a boombox, guess what she's going to do? She's going to pull out a freaking phone and start recording. Oh my God, look what he's doing. Can you believe this shit? This is what he's done. Because that's what most men see. Just seeing himself being ridiculed. And women do not respect that shit. The reason why the women run back to the men when they freaking ghost her is because that's what's working. So you're cursing the woman for folding when the men are doing exactly what he should be doing, holding his frame, and she now has to come back into his frame. Shows you, ladies, men are the prize. Good men are the prize. If you want a good man, you freaking make sure you put in some effort to get that good man. These women just don't get it yet. A lot of them still don't get it. And those are the ones that are going to end up out there alone, single, never get a chance to pass on their DNA. They will die out. Their genetic line will finish at the end of their time. But I want to play a few minutes of this video. This one is titled, I Don't Want to Go to Jail. The real reason Korean men have stopped approaching, I guess. This is all Asian dilemmas, this channel here. It's an AI voice. I assume that the original thing was in Korean, so they've translated it to English. I hate this bloody AI voice, but hey, it's good to get cross-culture information that we can understand, right? All right, let's have a quick listen.
Today becoming less and less willing to take the initiative to pursue women. If you ask this question in China, you'll get several different answers. But in the center of the universe, South Korea, men will give you just one sentence. I don't want to go to jail. The Korean National Police Agency announced a public safety regulation stating that a man cannot show romantic interest in a woman more than 3 times, and the definition of showing interest is extremely broad. Even inviting someone to eat or meet up already counts. If he tries more than 3 times, it can legally be considered harassment. That is why South Korea's gender conflict is considered one of the most extreme in the world.
Holy crap. Boy, the feminists really push it to the freaking extreme over in South Korea. Can you now understand why there's no births at all? Why they have entered the death cross? For those of you that don't understand what the death cross is, that is when more people are dying in a society than the amount of people that are being born. It is impossible for a society to recover because even though the older people are living longer, they are no longer capable of having kids. We're talking about the women. They're no longer able to incubate kids. So what happens? Population declines. So in the next 50 years, they anticipate their population will drop close to 50% because most of the people would have died off. That's a scary thought, man. I think it's 50. I think it was 50 or 75 years. Please don't quote me on this. I'll have to look it up and I'll put it in text across the screen. Okay? Let's hear what else they have to say.
And some even more radical feminist organizations have shouted the slogan, eliminate all Korean men. And they started acting accordingly. When these women discovered they were pregnant with a boy, they chose not to carry the pregnancy to term, using this non-confrontational method to fight against Korean men. If Japanese men win this war simply by adopting a Zen-like attitude and giving up on the fight, then how are Korean men dealing with this battle?
This is insane. Kill the Korean baby boys. You talking about radicalism? This is it to the extreme. Whew. This can't be true, man. I gotta look at ChatGPT to find out. Let me hear a little bit more, and then I'm gonna ask some questions. Gentlemen, I'm listening to this in real time. Like I said yesterday, most of my videos I listen in real time just so that you can get my raw reaction, okay? Plus, it's more exciting for me. It's kind of boring, listening and then coming back and recording it.
Today we're going to talk about how feminism in South Korea spun out of control and became so extreme. In fact, in the beginning, the development of feminism in Japan and Korea followed the same pattern. Between 1960 and 1990, South Korea's economy soared, and that growth brought urbanization, fashion, progressiveness, and free love. This new mindset completely captivated the younger generation. And, at first, Korean women had a simple desire. To be independent women of a new era, cutting ties with old traditions. It was a good idea. A lot of people supported it, both men and women. There is nothing wrong with wanting to liberate your mind. But then came the problem. When the economy crashes and the conflict between men and women worsens, what happens? South Korea went through the exact same thing Japan did. The 1997 Asian financial crisis left 1.3 million Koreans unemployed, and everyone was forced into extreme hypercompetition. As we saw before, women simply cannot outperform men in an environment of brutal, relentless competition. So in 1999, in an attempt to increase their competitiveness in the job market, Korean feminists filed a lawsuit against military veterans, demanding the removal of the 5% hiring bonus given to men who completed mandatory service. They claimed it violated the constitution and discriminated against women. But everyone in Korea knows that almost every healthy man serves for 2 years. That bonus is well deserved. At this point, people began to realize the Korean feminist movement was starting to go off course. But up to this point, the conflict was still limited to the job market, nothing catastrophic. Except that the seemingly impossible demand, removing the military bonus, was approved in the year 2000. Then, in 2001, when China entered the WTO and its economy began skyrocketing, Korea's key industries came under pressure, further worsening the Korean job market. And with the 2008 financial crisis, unemployment became devastating. Internal competition became unbearable. Just like in Japan, Korean women lost badly in the professional field. But unlike Japanese women, Korean women are far more aggressive when it comes to verbal combat. So, in 2009, an all-out confrontation between both sides exploded. At the time, there was a TV show called The Chat of Beauties. This show ignited the fury of Korean men. One of the guests said, "Any man under 1.8 m, 5 feet 11 inches, is a loser." That sentence hit with the force of a Sarajevo assassination, a spark that triggered a firestorm. Male groups then decided to launch a complete retaliation against feminist groups. Starting in 2009, both sides began public protests, tearing apart any remaining facade of civility. That's when Korea's gender conflict became openly visible. But up until then, everything was still happening offline, with limited reach. What truly poured gasoline on the fire was the internet. From that point on, the gender war changed battlefield. From offline to online. Extreme feminist groups like Meg Alir began to emerge. Their logo is that hand gesture, you know which one. Better not comment too much, to avoid losing the Korean market. In the beginning, it was still something relatively normal, fighting against harassment and workplace discrimination. But as the conflict escalated, Meg Alir became increasingly radical. They began promoting the selective abortion of male babies.
Wow. Listen, I'm going to put a link to this video so you guys can go and watch the rest of it. But you now understand that the feminist push that have infiltrated every single country has displayed radicalism and far too much aggression. And this is what happens when you give women power. Women just don't understand how to handle power. Yes, I'm going to say it exactly like that. Men have always had the power. We have always understood with great power comes great responsibility. But we know that there were some men that abused that power, slapping their wives around and, all of we knew what happened. But what feminism did was they took those few examples and they made it into a huge thing that all men did it. All men were capable of doing it. And if they were capable of doing it, we have to protect women against that capability. They didn't look at the long-term ramifications of what happens when you give women power. Because you give a woman a little power, she's going to push for more and more and more and more. Till ultimately, when a woman is in charge of anything, she is not capable of holding on to the level of power that is given to her in a responsible fashion. She will destroy other women younger than her to hold on to that power, where men, older men, will mentor the younger men to take over to be better leaders than him so that he can go and relax. Women don't do that. Older women will want to hold on to that power for a long, long time because she's jealous of the younger generation. She will not give younger women power. This is her nature. She knows that the younger girls have the looks, the beauty, everything that the men want. And over here in Dubai, I'm always looking for beautiful women, to set up with other men who are looking for wives, right? Especially conservative wives. And this is a perfect example of how women love to keep other women single. And it's in their nature. It's in their biology. I would tell women, usually a lot of them I tell that already have partners or husbands, right? Hey, do you know any of your single friends that are good women that are looking to get married? Practically every one of them say, yeah, I know a certain girl. I know this girl. I know a girl, right? And I would introduce certain men to them, doctors, engineers, etc. And when I tell these married women and women with other women, the first thing they ask, oh my God, I wish I was single. They say it funny. They say it as a joke, right? But I look under the surface of these so-called jokes because I hear it from quite a few of them, right? So can you pass this profile on to your friend? Yeah, no problem. 90% of these women, I never hear back from them. No, not the single ones. I'm talking about the married ones. I'm talking about the ones that have boyfriends. I never hear back from them. They never pass on the messages. And usually when I follow up, it's like, oh my God, no, I forgot. Oh, I hadn't had a chance to talk to her yet. It's always an excuse, not that the girl had seen the guy. It's always an excuse that they had not been able to pass on the message. That shows you clearly, my friends, those ladies are not interested in helping these women to be or to find men who are better than her husband. Nope. Women are not in the business of setting up her friends to have a man who's better than hers. This is the devious nature of females. Ladies, you let me know if I'm wrong.
I'm hoping, and gentlemen, I'm hoping you guys can help me settle something and we can put the rumors to rest once and for all. Let me ask you something. Do men ever not pursue a woman because they are intimidated by her? Do men ever not pursue a woman because they're just too scared of how much they're going to fall in love with her? We have been fed this tale that if a man is not pursuing you and a man is not making plans with you, that's probably because he's intimidated by you. He's intimidated by your success. He's intimidated by your beauty. He's intimidated by how fancy of a lifestyle you have. And I'm just curious, is any of that true? Is any of that true? When I think what it is that women are just too scared to admit that he's just not that into you and that he just doesn't like us very much. So we try to make ourselves feel better, so we tell ourselves this little lie. But I think we sound like fucking idiots.
Yeah, you all sound like fucking idiots. For sure. Because it's all BS. Men are not intimidated by women. Men are not scared of her beauty. Men are not, none of that is true. You have been fed a bunch of lies by other women. Once again, trying to keep you single. This phenomenon is unreal. The primary feminists have created other male-hating feminists that are much more extreme. And they're pushing this message that is mind-blowing, man. And how are we going to end up? Like South Korea, like Japan, like Italy, like Spain coming, like all of these other European countries that are going through the same problem. A lot of Scandinavian countries now are desperate, trying to find men, trying to get relationships together. Russia is starting to go through a problem right now, well, primarily because most of their men are being killed off in war. Ukraine is the same problem.
Guys, I just went out with my brother and our two guy friends, and I was the only girl. And honestly, for like the first time ever, I kind of witnessed like the negative energy and like the nastiness of like certain girls, which is weird because I'm not like that. Like, if a guy approaches you, first of all, we need to respect the fact and like understand like how hard it is to approach women, how much it takes to actually approach someone. Like, it takes a lot of balls. And whenever a guy has approached me, even if I'm not interested, I always like show up with kindness, because first of all, that took balls, and second of all, like, it all depends on how you approach me, right? And like your attitude and your energy. And I just feel like I really saw a lot of girls really just be nasty straight up. I had some girl who was actually pretty, but her personality was whack, because she was over here like, I don't have a name, we don't have a name. Like, ew, that's so that just gave me the ick. That's nasty personality. Like, you can be pretty, but if your personality is like that, automatic no. That was so weird. I literally witnessed that, and I was like, ain't no way you're being like, I don't have a name, I don't have a name. Like, be nice, okay? Sometimes guys just want to compliment you and tell you that you look good, and walk away. Like, it's never that deep. It's never that creepy. Like let a guy talk to you for a minute and hear them out. Like, I've always just been respectful, being like, I'm not interested, but really appreciate it. And that's it. Like, don't ever be that girl. If you see this, you were something else. Also, this was at Yucca Bar, so if you see this, yeah, that was not cute of you. Bye.
Yeah. I mean, back in my day, man, you'd walk up to a woman anywhere, and just say, hey, how are you? Think you're absolutely gorgeous. Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate that. You have a boyfriend? Yeah. No. Or, no, I'm single, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm interested. Does that mean I should try harder, or does that mean you're not interested? And we would have and it would be a nice, easy interaction. That was how women used to be. I don't understand how women have gotten so far to one side where every interaction has to be this mean, painful interaction. So to answer the last lady's question, men aren't intimidated. They are just not interested. They're not interested in being the punching bag of an insult. They're not interested in just going through the whole experience of meeting a woman because there is nothing pleasant about it. Nothing. Back in the day, man, men would love to just go and have a quick conversation with a girl because women were women. They were pleasant. They were feminine. Nowadays, they're aggressive. They're angry. And they don't even know why they're like this. Because men don't approach a woman to just, destroy and be disrespectful. If a man wants to get to know a woman, there is no other way to approach a woman but to be pleasant. But all we hear is, he came up to me, he was so disrespectful. How can a man come up to you disrespectfully? Hey, baby, I love your tits. I love you. Men don't do that shit. Men don't do that. Because he knows that immediately shuts down the conversation. More than likely, any man who approaches a woman right up front is going to compliment her. That is the only opening that a man knows that he has a chance of even getting a conversation. Even if he goes, hey, babes, you got a girl, you got a boy, you got a man. How can a man approach any woman with an insult? Please, ladies, let me know. What was the first thing a man said to you when he approached you? And tell me how you could have taken it as an insult. Any opening line that he gave you, I want to know because I'm lost.
Can we talk about how men don't offer to buy girls drinks at the bar anymore? I've been single for 6 years and I can count on one hand how many times a guy has offered to buy me a drink. But it's not just that, it's guys coming up and approaching girls in general is so scarce these days. I'm like, we as women have almost made it where we're like, leave us alone, so much to the point that they really are.
Hear how that laugh almost sounds manic, like there's something wrong with us. Leave us alone. And then you laugh at it afterwards. No, we don't mean leave us alone. We mean try harder so we can insult you, and then you must try even harder. Then we can put you on TikTok because you're trying too hard. And then after that, we can say that you were being. Then we can say you were molesting us and you're stalking, and then we can say no, you weren't really stalking, but you could have tried harder. The reality of it is, lady, if a woman don't smile, if she don't make eye contact, if she don't say hello first, where we're going in the relationship market is only going to go further and further into a downward spiral. Let's finish listening to what she says. I think this gentleman is going to chime in as well. I want to hear what he says.
And they all just want to slide in your DMs, but would never approach you in real life.
This is a two-part question, so I'm going to give a two-part answer. You asked why men aren't buying women drinks at the bar anymore. Most men feel like there's no incentive to do so. Women have exhausted men's efforts with doing anything because the internet's going to hear about it. This entitlement of a man just has to do it just because she's a woman, not because she has a good character or she comes with some type of personality that gives him that urge to want to do these things. And then when these guys do all of these things, you shit on them. When they take you out to exotic places, dinners and everything. You tell your friends or you brag about it on social media. This guy spent this much on me and I didn't even call him back. This guy sent me $80 for lunch and I blocked him. Putting your whole life story out on how you treat men, and men are waking up. You talked about why men aren't approaching women while they're out and about. Same difference. Men do not see the incentive to do it. Most men have approached women out and about and women have called them weird. Women have said, oh, you lame. Women have kept walking. Women have embarrassed them. Why would a man want to approach you out and about in today's time with how women are treating men when they do approach? Men rather not approach you. They rather catch you on the fly and just send you a DM. It's easier for them and it's more accessible for them. So if they do get rejected on social media, it's like, oh, okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah, then they accuse men of not having any spine, not having any balls. And the men are saying, yeah, I don't care. The risk isn't worth the reward. No, I will not risk my life, my career, just to approach a woman in the wild. I'll send you a DM. If you respond, I'll take it from there. But no, men are risk averse, man. You got to understand this. Men are always calculating the risk versus reward.
Women always ask me, what happened to men today? Great question. What started out as a good thing, encouraging men to respect women, has swung way too far in the opposite direction. Now, a lot of men are terrified of women, so they wait for perfect conditions before making a move. But courage doesn't exist without risk, and women can't respect men who don't risk anything. So as a man, if you want to be seen as confident, you've got to be willing to look stupid, to get rejected, to be misunderstood. So start by taking small risks. Approach women when you're out and about. Initiate plans with them. You'd be surprised how fast it'll work, because women nowadays, they're not turned off by that kind of effort. They're starving for it.
Yeah, they are starving for it. But even when one woman say it, man, how many of them out there are a risk? Too many men have been burnt. That information has been shared online. Other men who have seen the risk and said, yeah, no, it's not worth it for me. This is the problem. She's right. Men have to take risks. We have always taken risks, but we've always taken calculated risks. And in the past, approaching a woman didn't mean that we were going to lose our income, our life, or even jail. I mean, South Korea, Jesus. You approach a woman more than 3 times, guess what? You'll be freaking put in jail for Christ's sake. That's how far it's gotten. Whew, scary freaking times, man.
So let me pick up where I left off. Fellas, you keep saying I'd rather stay single. Women are too much. I don't need the headache. I get it, but let's be real. That is crap. You don't actually want to die alone with a freaking gaming console and a fridge full of frozen pizza. You don't, because guess what? Biology doesn't lie. Men and women were designed for each other. That is masculine and feminine polarity. That's not just some TikTok buzzword. That is nature. That's why when you're with the right woman, everything in your life sharpens. Your drive, your purpose, your discipline, everything. Now, sure, being single is easy. No drama, no compromise, no responsibility. But easy gets old. The hookups get boring. The soulless sex gets depressing. The silence in your house starts getting loud. And then what? You're 40, 50, 60 years old. Nobody by your side. Nobody in your bed. Nobody to build with. That is not freedom. That's failure. Here's the truth. Men need women and women need men. That's a beautiful balance. That's order. That's how we're wired. The problem, though, is too many men give up before they figure us out. They throw their hands up like it's too complicated instead of leaning in and cracking the damn code. When you do crack the code, life gets great. You get respect. You get loyalty. You get passion. You get peace in your home and fire in your bedroom. That's not a bad deal if you ask me. That's a jackpot. So stop lying to yourself that staying single forever is the move. It's not. Master your woman. Don't run from her, because the man who figures out his woman is the man who truly wins at life.
Yeah, she's absolutely right. She's absolutely right. And this is why I wrote the book. It's a master class on how to handle your relationships, how to build yourself, how to build your frame, how to keep yourself at the peak level, how to peak your instincts, how to understand female nature. In my book, I've given you the 2 software women are running currently, the biology and the social influence that she's under, and how to deal with both of these. Okay? So my friends, if you want a chapter out of my book free right now, send me an email, paul@askanolderman.com, and I will get that out to you. For all of you that have sent me a request, guys, I'm compiling all of them now, and I'm going to send it out to you, hopefully within the next day or so. Okay? Gentlemen, once again, we have to understand what's going on in society. We have to understand that we are the builders of society. We are the pillars, the ones who create our reality. And the only way that we're going to take this whole thing back and pass on our DNA and turn this mess around is to understand what's going on. And hopefully this video was another way for you guys to understand what's happening, not only in the West, but around the world. Okay? So my friends, hey, give me a thumbs up on this message on the way out. Book a session if you need any help. All right? And until tomorrow, my friends, remember, whenever in doubt, always, always ask an older man. I'll see you soon. Cheers.